Right then, a couple of you have been asking for it in the comments, or wondering why we're signing Zirkzee, and especially since that news broke that maybe Ivan Toney is another option for Manchester United. So we might have to do a second instalment of this video where we go, okay, this is what Zirkzee is, this is what Holjund is, and this is what Ivan Toney is. I'm not sure I can see us having all three as a strike force, but the rumour is out there, so if it looks like it's going to happen, I'll absolutely cover it. But anyway, some of you have been asking for this, so I wanted to sort of try and explain what the differences are and maybe why we've got him in. Now, Zirkzee's official, like that happened like that to get it, here we go, and then we see him in a shirt, and the guys at Carrington took all the pictures and everything. It is done, like done. So he's obviously going to go on holiday now, and we'll see him a little bit later in pre-season. 36.54 million. Really impressive and important deal for us to get done so early in the window. We've signed a striker that generally a lot of people aren't familiar with, and I wasn't overly familiar with him. We'd ended up doing a scout report on him, but I certainly wouldn't claim to be able to tell you every single thing about him. But I can explain to you the sort of major differences in between his game and Rasmus Hojlund's game. And I think, even though it's a little bit cliche to say, I actually think Zirkzee and Holjund might complement each other very well, and I can see this signing being very, very useful for us. The key question is, well, what are the differences then between the two? So that's what I'm going to have a look at. Now, positioning. Hojlund is a striker. He is a bit of a nightmare to play against. You often see him running blindside of a defender. He likes to operate right on the shoulder. He likes to get the highest positions. He frequently gets called offside because he's trying to gain that little bit of an advantage where he can use his pace, get in behind of an opposition. He presses high and he stretches play. Those are the sort of fundamental things that you get with Rasmus Hojlund as a player. Now, that stretches our team, but it stretches the opposition, and that's actually caused some problems for us this season, especially midfield, where if we lose the ball, the gaps have become quite large. Those were unable to be plugged because of some of the space that was created. Now, that's in a bit of a contrast to what you're going to get with Zirkzee. Zirkzee's entire game is based off trying to find pockets of space. You may be more familiar with Harry Kane's game. It's not quite operating in the same kind of way, but the spaces that Kane takes up, Zirkzee takes up those sorts of spaces. And his positioning, if they played together, would create a real balance in the team. He's almost a number 10. He almost operates like a number 10. He almost operates like a false 9. He is not going to occupy the same spaces that Rasmus Hojlund operates at all. Now, if you was impressed with how McTominay performed this season, coming on as a sub late in games, getting those decisive goals and mixing things up, you're going to absolutely love Zirkzee, because for me, that's where I think we're going to see a lot of him, coming on with 30 minutes to go, maybe at half-time. Let's mix it up, let's go for it a little bit. And you'll see what a striker does in those sort of late ghosting runs into the box, because Rasmus is going to take him towards the front post. He's going to peel off to the penalty spot around the D, somewhere like that. And I think because he's just going to be a better finisher than what you see with McTominay, I think he's going to get on the end of a lot of stuff in that sort of area. He has this sort of undying willingness to come short and to come to feet for the ball. And he loves to lay off. He likes to play off one, which means as the ball comes into him, he'll angle his body, he'll pop something off, and he'll then move into another position. His movement's very, very elusive. And because he's got that ability to pop it and play off one, he comes short, sees someone, boom, pops it off, ball goes that way, he goes that way, the defender in the middle goes, do I go with him or do I go with the run? That's the threat, that's a threat. And that's something that Zirkzee's going to really operate very well in. So I think you'll start to see him start pulling apart a little bit in terms of defences in that final third. And he's just involved more in play. One criticism that you can have of Rasmus Hojlund is he isn't involved in play. He is very much a finisher. And when he comes off the pitch with no shots, no goals, the fuck did he do? Not all down to his fault, by the way, but that is the nature of the beast of that type of striker that he is. Zirkzee probably won't get to that. He's going to be getting the ball in different positions. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be getting shots and taking shots from those areas, but it does mean that he's going to be operating in different areas, getting on the ball a lot more. So he will appear to be a lot more busy and a lot more involved just because of the nature of the way that he plays the game. Now, one of Hojlund's strengths is still bringing others into himself and into the game and making good use of the ball in possession. He can get involved with when you need to go and have someone hold the ball. Hojlund can do that. Zirkzee does that too. But Hojlund's going to do that and then look to try and expose the defence in behind. Play with counter-attacks with his back to goal. Sometimes he can get a little bit caught in taking too many touches in those areas, and that's slowed stuff down. He likes to look for a 1-2. Sometimes that 2 will be maybe a little bit behind, so you get the second ball coming back. And again, Zirkzee's different. He's known for being able to, because he plays off one, when he takes the ball, it's almost unexpected. And because he can take the ball, if you get drawn to him, he'll play off one. That's what I like about him. He's got trickery. He's a player that is full of flair. I've seen someone liken him a little bit to Zlatan. And I think it's evidenced by the way he takes the ball with his back to goal. Like, I don't see the same. Like, with Holjund, I see quite a basic skill. And people will think basics are, what's the word? An insult. It's not an insult. It's just quite basic with what he does. He's going to set the ball back for someone pretty much every single time. But you'll see Zirkzee take a couple of touches, slip a marker, roll somebody, use their momentum to get past them, all play off one and collect the ball on the other side of them. I think bringing the wingers into the game in a way that benefits them and then the team, you'll see a bit more of that from Zirkzee. I think that's something that he does. Now, despite all of those wonderful traits, you have to give Hojlund the finishing. He is a better goal scorer than Zirkzee. Zirkzee doesn't get goals. You can argue it's a nature of where he likes to operate with the ball, as opposed to Hojlund, who wants to get in on the end of stuff and get in the box and be the man that's finishing. Yes, but also Zirkzee just is nowhere near as clinical with the ball as Rasmus Hojlund is. In 32 games last season, he scored 11 goals. Rasmus got 25. He scored 10. Zirkzee took 84 shots. Only 29 of those were on target. For Hojlund, he only took 38 shots, of which 52.6 of those were on target. Again, just highlighting just how poorly fed our number 9 is. But it's not drastic. It's quite a normal rate, that, for a striker, to be honest. It's nothing too alarming in any sense. There are differences and there are complementary traits between the two of them. I think they'll play together more than you imagine. And I'm wondering, is it potentially signalling a change of role for Bruno Fernandes, because he would tend to occupy that central position in, you know, the advanced kind of number 10 area. But he can play deeper, and he's very effective when played deeper, when he's given the license to have the energy to play deeper. And I think that United could really go through the gears a little bit if you play Mainoo and Bruno and Zirkzee and Hojlund. Now, United could be a very vertical team if we did that. We'd be very, very good on the transition. My worry with that is, would Bruno and Mainoo work? Now, maybe that's an option for the teams that we're thinking are going to sit back and low block us, and you go, it doesn't matter, we don't really need it, this is fine, let's do it. You might want to go a different route, Anfield away, for example, or the Etihad. You probably don't want to do that there. You might even go with the false 9 thing that we saw working quite well in the FA Cup final. The whole point is being tactically flexible and being able to tailor your approach to whichever situation you find yourself in. There is not one straight answer that's going to beat every team every time. you have to tailor it. Zirkzee feels like an improvement on what we had, certainly with fitness, over Anthony Martial. Let's hope there's an improvement in terms of availabilities. But I think in those games when you want a little bit more balance and you want to maybe put a couple in the box when Rasmus is maybe struggling, put another striker in there, and suddenly the double marked Holjund is now only single marked, and he maybe gets that half a yard he needs to be able to get a shot off. And it's the tactical flexibility United have lacked. And as I said in another video recently, you need 15, 16 players that are all your starting 11. You need 15, 16 players who think, I play every week. Now you're going, well, 15 and 16 into 11 doesn't go. But it does. With injuries, with form, with suspensions, with all of those sorts of things going off, 15, 16, first choice 11 players is about what you need. So I like this move. I like that they're different. Where Tony comes into that mix, right now I haven't got a fucking clue. I'm going to look a bit more at Tony, especially if this rumour starts developing. And I'm going to look at some sort of 2+1 formation with Tony and Howson with Zirkzee in behind and see if I can make that work mentally at least. I might even fucking download Football Manager and see if I can make it work on there. Because right now, beyond me. Let me know. Answers on a postcard below in the comments in the usual place. Take it easy. See you in a bit. Bye-bye. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.